Hello, my friend. Hello, my love. And now I feel inspired to do this sharing for helping to tune into reality, which is in East called the TAO, but again, as the TAO master Lao Tzu described in the beginning of his book, that the TAO that can be named is not an eternal TAO. So it is so vast, it is like the bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. And that's why it endures, because it is not fixated on any appearance of life. So it governs all the appearances without governing. So that's that beautiful living divine paradox. And the more I live, the more I just see more clearly that all I do is really just dancing with the paradox of life. Dancing in between of everything, between everything and nothing. So also for that I would like to bring some context from the book that I recently started to study, and it resonates with me and my experience a lot. It is called The Secret of the Golden Flower, about Eastern inner alchemy that combines Buddhism and Taoism. So there is a lot of practical applications in that book, how to turn your light around, to circulate your inner light and crystallize it into a light body. But for now I just want to emphasize on threefold contemplation from Buddhism that was mentioned in that book. So the contemplation of those three aspects really helps to feel this sweet balance, this sweet unity of the great truth of nature, which is again also called as Tao. So there is contemplation of emptiness, contemplation of condition, and contemplation of the center. So you can start to contemplate on each of these aspects separately, and then you can start to combine them and contemplate, meditate on all of these aspects simultaneously. And when you are able to do that, then you usually slingshot your attention or dissolve your attention into this indescribable living and very well balanced, harmonious reality. So first of all, contemplation on emptiness. So from the perspective of emptiness, emptiness is emptiness. Conditions are also emptiness, and center is empty too. So it is realization that whatever arises, all the appearances that arises in our experience is arising within emptiness, from emptiness, and goes back into emptiness, like waves in the ocean, like sounds in the silence. It is always the case. So when you are contemplating on that, you just make that subtle truth very obvious, that life is always circulating based on emptiness. And Lao Tzu also mentioned that knowing this process brings enlightenment, and missing this process brings misery, because when we miss the truth of emptiness, we get too much fixated and attached on temporary appearances of that emptiness. And that brings lots of suffering. Yeah. And when you know that the foundation is emptiness, then you are allowing everything to flow naturally and easefully. And then the contemplation of condition, or sometimes also called delusion, because it is like a mirage. That's why if you are missing the truth of emptiness, and chasing various appearances, it is like chasing the mirage, and you are never getting fulfilled by the mirage. And that brings just more discontentment and greed and hatred and so on. But from the point of view of delusion, delusion is delusion. So it is good acknowledgement. And it is good to also acknowledge that emptiness and center can also be the products of delusion if you are making them into something. When you are attaching to the name of emptiness or name of center or some kind of symbol and trying to hold on to that symbol and thinking if you are losing that symbol that you are losing the true thing. So that's the delusion. So yeah, it is also good to acknowledge that from the perspective of delusion, emptiness is also delusion, center is illusion too. Because true center is also centerless. It is center which is everywhere. Yeah, so emptiness is also condition. Center is also condition from the point of view of condition. And now that you have those two opposite perspectives, you can switch from one to another and then start to feel those opposite truths simultaneously. And usually when that happens, you will start to also feel that center in between. And from the perspective of center, center is center, and emptiness is central. Conditions is central too. So it is also what I drawed and showed in one of my previous videos. It is this three-dimensional yin-yang symbol which shows the portal, the connection between polarities and center in the middle. It is like that awakening in the center between opposite truths. So one of the truth is emptiness and another truth is very tangible and very realistically felt appearances, expressions of the emptiness. So try to contemplate those three aspects all at once. The emptiness, the nothingness, the conditions, the everythingness that you are experiencing, and this centerless center that penetrates both nothingness and everythingness. Because you have to really feel stable in your center. To really feel the center, you need to fully accept both nothingness and everythingness. It is not just being in between everything and nothing as some kind of limited personality. You can create this delusion and believe in it, but yeah, that usually brings a lot of misalignments with the holistic truth of life. So if you want to feel really balanced, really harmonious with life, you need to see yourself both as nothing and everything. Then there is no space for you to fail. Of course, relative failures can happen, but from the realization of your true center, it is not being defined or fully defined and experienced as failure, as something out of the universal harmony. Yes, you can acknowledge the failure and the lessons and so on the relative level, and yet you are seeing it as the part of the bigger truth, bigger wisdom, bigger love. So even though you are knowing that all conditions are empty, yet the conditions still appear and it is still experienced. And you cannot destroy them because you also cannot destroy the emptiness. You cannot affect the mirage. So you are moving in harmony with that, in coherent, constructive harmony with all the appearances of life, with this your relative human life. But again, simultaneously, you are not affected by it. You are seeing that it is also emptiness. It doesn't touch you. It doesn't bring you suffering, even in the greatest challenges within what appears. So, when you have a sense of that, it is very clear indication and confirmation that you are aligned with your centerless center, that you are resting in your true home. That you are embodying the simultaneous truth and dance of nothing and everything. So this is the living TAO. This is a pattern of life which is always renewing, always fresh, and at the same time always the same. In principle, in essence, it is always the same. But expression of it is always new. Yeah, always alive, always in tune. Always in relation with the myriad of things. So again, I invite you to meditate on that, on those three aspects, those three different perspectives that I described, and try not to be fixated on one or another. Of course, you can play with your perspective, but I invite you also to come into that space, that state of complete unity. Where all of those perspectives merges and there are no more separation, just this as it is. This truth as your living self, as your selfless self. And then live from that state and enjoy your life to the fullest and be in service to the fullest. Because again, if you are clearly see that none of this is affecting you, you can very, very clearly and powerfully act within this life, within all of the conditions that appear. Yes, it is not affecting your center, it is not affecting the core of you. Of course, it can affect various faculties of your conditional self, and that is good. All of our sensitivities and so on is part of that harmonious and balanced dance of life. So yes, it doesn't mean, again, to create some kind of delusion out of the truth, that now you must be just cold and not experiencing emotions and so on. No, you can, yeah, again, you are fully embracing everything, all the variety of life, and yet simultaneously feeling that freedom within that peace within all the movement, which coordinates the movement. Again, governing without governing, ruling without ruling, Wu Wei, action from non-action. Also, I remember, in Tao Te Ching it is said that when you are desiring, I will paraphrase it, when you are looking at the world through your personal desires, you will see only the limited conditions, only the limited forms. But when you look at the world through desirelessness, you will see ever-present mystery, which is door to all understanding. And also in that book it is said that when your action is influenced by these seemingly external conditions, then it is action, it is personal action, it is more delusional in nature. But when your action is inspired from within, without attachment to any names and forms and stories, then it is action of heavens. Because that action comes from that infinite reality which connects so many things that we cannot comprehend with our human brains. Yet our human brains, our bodies, are perfect receivers for that infinite wisdom, and by being those opened channels for that, yes, we can channel this from moment to moment in perfect balance. Not too much and not too small. Not too less, Not too big, not too small, not too much, not too less. Just exactly what the greatest love and wisdom requires for each moment. And this is the natural way. So we are just aligning to the perspective of natural. And then we can experience it as our first-hand experience, as being avatars of the Source. So let's be that and enjoy. Much blessings and love.